Jack, dude, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on. Talk to me, dude. What's going on? What's the latest? You're
Yeah,
super.
I'm stoked to get this conversation going because I think we got a lot of cool things to talk about and stuff like that. Uh,
Absolutely.
you know, been following each other for a long time. We talk a lot now these days, so it'll be cool to have everyone else who listens in on the podcast give this a listen.
Yeah. So, guys, Jack is. I would have to say extraordinary. I'll give him that. I'll give him that title. He really is. I mean, the guy sets these ambitious, audacious goals and goes out and crushes them. Right. Puts it out there. And for anybody that's kind of hesitant about doing something, put it on the internet and go do it. Like that will solidify who you are, what you stand for. And if you're successful or not, that doesn't really matter. What matters is that you share the process. And Jack, dude, like you've shared the process for all of your epic stuff, man. I mean, guys, if you don't follow him, go give him a follow. Like Ironman, marathon, weightlifting competition, high rocks, ultra, right?
A little bit of
You know,
everything.
the only thing you're missing is smoke divers, but we'll talk
Yeah.
about that.
Well, yeah, you got to help me with that, dude. Yeah,
So
I
talk to
mean, like you hit the nail on the head. I'm such a huge believer in putting the craziest, most out of this world goals, like, and just put them out for everyone to hear. And then I always say, if you fail, you probably ended up doing something cool anyway. You know?
100%, 100%. But talk to me about you not letting fear or the opinion of others kind of stop you. Like, have you always had that, or like, did you develop that over time?
It's crazy. I've always been pretty comfortable with any situation. Like didn't like have any like fears growing up. But the one thing that was always like kind of like a big for me was fear of failure.
Mm,
Like, and it's hard to try anything new and put anything like extraordinary out into the universe if you're afraid of failure.
right.
So, um, even when I started my weightlifting journey, I would only train by myself because I was afraid to look stupid. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, trying is the coolest thing you can do. Like, there's a obviously some great rewards of like hitting this amazing race or completing this amazing race, doing this awesome like powerlifting total, or developing this great physique, or achieving something in the fire service, your job, life goals, whatever. The idea of actually just putting in the work and not being afraid to come up short, like that's enjoying the process.
Yeah,
If you
absolutely.
enjoy the process, the results will come. You learn to deal with the bumps and
Mm,
bruises along the way, and don't put it like an end goal on something, like, or a time limit on something. Just keep chipping away. You only fail when you actually stop. And it took me
yeah,
a long time to get that and accept that. But now that I have that belief, and I have that belief myself, like I don't believe there's anything I can't do. I don't. It might take me a while, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna get there eventually.
right. Yeah, that's just the undeniable internal proof that you're that guy, right? Like I'm tough, or I'm like I can endure anything.
Mm.
It's like, okay, like what have you endured? Like what have you done that is tough? And then like even with that, a lot of people still struggle with like imposter syndrome. Like it's
Mm.
like, fuck, am I really that guy? Like, am I living up to it? Because the human, the everyday human really strives to be comfortable, right? It's just
Right.
innate. Like we want to be comfortable. We want to avoid discomfort. Discomfort's where we learn everything. It's where we,
Growth.
yeah, we become who we are and we grow. But when you show up and you win and you lose and you keep showing up, that kind of builds that internal not giving a shit factor of like, I don't give a shit how long it takes. I don't give a shit if I fail. I don't give a shit if I succeed. Like I'm gonna show up. And you said it, man. I'm gonna try. And I think a lot of people out there. I talked about this on a coaching call the other day. They want everything to be so perfect, right? And
Never.
like you don't get to where Jack is. You don't get to where I'm at. You don't get to where anybody is that has kind of achieved a good amount of things with a perfect mindset, right? Guys, it's gonna be messy. Like Jack, talk about the processes being messy for you, and like you still kept showing up.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. Good. All right. Yeah, I'll be the first one to admit I have failed more than almost anyone I know. Whether you had, bad competition, bad race, you know, just fall flat on your face when you had these crazy goals you told everybody about. Fail all the time. Fail more than anyone I know, and that's why I've succeeded, and that's why I've done so many things that I have done. Like for my 100-mile race, it would have been so easy for me to pack it in. 80% of the field packed it in, and that's no shot at them. It was very tough conditions, like brutal rainstorm that lasted for 7-8 hours, lightning and thunder, and destroyed the course. The thickest mud you could ever imagine. You could barely step through it. But I've known that I've like all these past failures made it impossible for me to fail that day. And that might sound a little crazy, but like it sharpens the iron. You make a bunch of mistakes. Every firefighter, we'll go that route, has done this something stupid their pro year, something stupid their 5th year, and they're like, all right, well, I'll never do that again. Like those on a larger scale, those simple mistakes or huge mistakes you make the man and develop you into the person you are. And there's no amount of value you can put on that except for just continuing to put yourself in these situations. Win, lose, draw, finish the race, DNF. I mean, you're getting the same value regardless because it's just going to make you a better athlete, better person, better firefighter, better family member, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the process, and I want to talk about making mistakes. I mean, guys, I'm 10 years in, I'm still making mistakes. And you just said something that's gold. Like, yeah, dude, the mistakes make the man. Like, the mistakes make the person, right? And guys, I really empower all of you to let your mess be your message to help other people work through things because you don't go through things on accident. Like, everything you go through is to be an example if you let it be that, right? You can let it be a bad example or you can let it be a good example and show people what you've learned from it. But man, Jack, so we have Ironman, we have the weightlifting competition, we have the marathon sub 3, we have ultra, and then we have the high rocks. All right,
Yeah.
you've overcome the thought process that a lot of people think it's a false sense of belief that when you cross one of those like elite finish lines, like those are all elite events, right? When you cross one of those finish lines, like you feel like that's it, like you won, right? It's like that rich guy that works his entire life to be rich, loses everything along the way, gets in the Ferrari, and then he's like the rich asshole in a Ferrari that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What has been your takeaway of like that empty feeling at the finish line?
The over the top happiness and just awe of the moment lasts about like the first 2 or 3 pictures you take with whoever's there, and then you're like, all right, that's done, and it's like, what's next? And
Right.
when you do enough of those things, you really do realize that it's the day in day out process that you truly value. Like that, even in that easy 5 mile run you didn't want to go on a random Tuesday, where you think, oh, that doesn't matter. It's just a easy 5 mile run. It doesn't matter. It's not my long run on Saturday. It's not my track workout where it's not the race. But once you realize putting those hard sessions that you have no desire to do, you came off a tough shift, whatever it is, and you get through those, that's when you grow, and then you look back and you're like, that's what made me cross that finish line that day. Those are the important days. Those little tiny decisions you make day in, day out to conquer those goals. Because you keep stacking up those small W's day in, week in, and that's the only way you're going to conquer these huge goals. And then when
Yeah.
you conquer the huge goals, you're like, it was all about the process to begin with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nick Bear says it. Shout out to Nick Bear. It's consistently good over occasionally great.
Yeah.
And that saying is so important, right? And I talk about this all the time in my coaching program is that the big things, they look nice, right?
Yeah.
But the messy things that you can do consistently, right, that matter, that you don't think that matters, Like it's messy. It doesn't no, it does matter. Like all the little stuff that you show up imperfectly to do consistently are what actually matter versus that big day of, getting the title Ironman, the big day of running your first 100, the big day of running your first 5K, right? The big day
Yeah.
of getting fit to the point that you can take your shirt off, right? The big day, like you said it, it's so important too. And I get so much fulfillment from there's days that I do a workout or I do a run or I get in gear and I have to ask myself, like, how did I get through things in the past when, like, today it's so difficult, right?
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
that reflection in that moment shows me how important that day is because usually on the big days there's so much hype and there's an expectation that like, yo, you gotta get through it regardless. Or like you said on a Tuesday, who the fuck cares that you're doing what you're like
Yeah.
in your like it's crazy in our thought process it's like this shit doesn't matter but it does.
Yeah. When you get to game day, like you said, it's like, well, I don't have a choice but to do this. I mean, my mom's right there. She's going to watch me. I mean, but like Tuesday, I'm here by myself. I just got done shift or I gotta go do it. Nobody's going to come in here and be like, come on, let's go. It's,
Right.
it's going to suck. But as soon as you get the body rolling and you start making the movement happen, you settle in. And the hardest part is starting, whether it's a simple, 20-minute workout, making long-term life decisions, improving your diet. It all starts with these little tiny decisions. But the problem is most people think it's one time you make that decision. Monday, I'm starting that diet. Yeah, but then you got to decide Monday, your second meal, Monday, your third meal, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're making the same decisions over and over again to either stick with it or separate. And once you get really good at making those hard decisions on the daily, it makes those hard, a lot easier.
So I want to talk to you about that. Have you always been extremely consistent or is that something that you developed over time?
Yeah, I mean, as far as training is like, I fell in love with it almost immediately. So, that's why I've kind of developed this saying where I say all fitness is good fitness. You don't have to love doing weights, love running, love swimming. Just find something that you kind of enjoy, do it. Stay healthy, or if you have bigger goals, then you're gonna have to suffer a little bit. But if it is what it is. Like I fell in love with training at 16, like just straight up weightlifting. I still don't like running though. I do that to sharpen the mental, doing hard things. Diet's always hard for everyone. Yeah, it's like second nature to me, like eating, meat and rice meal at the firehouse while they're all like, dude, that's what I feed my dog when he's sick. I've heard that joke, I don't know, twice a week for 5 years at this point. But yeah, I mean, I still have to make these hard decisions every day. Like none of us really feel like doing it a lot of the
Right.
time. At
Yeah.
least not as much as you do feel like doing it. But when I was, 19, 18, 19, I also loved to go hang out with my friends and party a little bit too much. And when your goals get more serious, like you gotta like make that tough decision where I'm not gonna do that. And I'm kind of gonna, straighten out a little bit that way. Those are tough decisions too. I'm not saying don't go enjoy life, but if you have certain goals you want to, accomplish, sacrifice is unavoidable. But
Mm,
what comes from that is you can't put a price tag on it.
absolutely. So outside from all of the fitness stuff, let's talk about the fire department, man. What made you want to be a fireman?
I honestly lucked into it because I know so many guys that wanted to be firefighters since they were kids and stuff like that. And I have couple cousins that have been firefighters. My uncle was a chief. I've always respected him, but I never thought I was going to be a firefighter. I always respected the craft and like as any public service, military. I feel like a lot of us are built the same way, where we are like it's just a different kind of like those are the people you respect growing up, and you want to be like them. But I never thought I'd be here. My dad was like, why don't you just take the test and see what happens? Like we're civil service state, and it was best decision I ever made. Taking the test, doing pretty well on it, getting through the doors, and then going to the academy, and just haven't looked back since. I just, you can't beat, especially when your passion is also fitness. There's no better career to have than being a firefighter. My one
Right.
senior guy always says it. He says we're occupational athletes. Or some people say like not tactical athletes.
Industrial.
Any of those types of sayings. Like it's our job to be in shape. You know,
Right.
it's our job to be in shape. It's part of the job. Like we should take that seriously. And the fact that my job now was telling me, yeah, it's important to go work out. It was a dream come true. And then obviously
Yeah.
the impacts you can have on people on their worst days. I mean, well, what is better than that? Like, seeing little, even if you're just driving through town, and kids are like, honk the horn, that's the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, it is. It's so different, man. It's just you can't describe it unless you kind of experience it
Yeah.
yourself. But it's pretty euphoric. Of like you're real life heroes. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason why it's sad to say, but the sick children at the hospital when they're sitting in the hospital on their last day, like seeing a fireman like rappel down the side of the building or come up on a ladder truck, like that makes their day because in their eyes, like we
Yeah.
are this superhero of like it's not even fathomable to be
Mhm.
real. And the things that we do on a daily basis is noble. It is unbelievable, and a lot of the stuff we do nobody knows about. That's another thing that makes it so amazing. Is like you don't even know like like you see the
I
trucks, you
explained this
see
to
it at the
someone.
grocery store. You
Yeah, I explained this to someone not too long ago. I was like, yeah, I mean, if it's not something that that the police handles immediately, it's probably us going to do it. If it's any emergency situation, like we just did our Swiftwater, like annual, fresh up, like whatever, however you want to say, training. Like we were just out in the water for like 5 hours in our suits and stuff, doing like go rescues and just practicing different stuff on the boat. Because we're right where I am. I'm like on the Delaware River, right across the bridge from Philly.
okay,
Bunch of water right around us, major highways. We run a squad, have to do all these different capabilities. Like, I know before I started, I was like, oh, they go to fires. I'm like, what else do they do? But,
right,
hazmat, swift water, rope rescue, this, that, the other thing. Um, it's crazy. And
everything.
yeah, it's literally everything.
It's unique, man. It's super special. Talk to me because I know the fire service, and not everybody in the fire service is up to being better, doing more, or kind of breaking out of those bad habits that I think a lot of firefighters get from just life or the people they hang out with. Like, how do you try to make an impact where you work with the guys that aren't on your level or have the understanding of how important like health and fitness really is?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, yeah, I lifted and was like strong, had a good physique, but I didn't really train functionally, and I wasn't a runner until like 2 years ago. But I went to my first big fire, row homes. It was like two in the middle, and it was like a set of five, right? And I was Nosman, got it done. Went first floor, second floor, third floor, knocked it out. But I was fucking gassed. Like training at the academy and with the smoke, whatever kind of setup you guys have at your training grounds, it's different. But then going to the real thing where you can't see 2 inches in front of your hands and it's just banging to the floor, it's different. And I knew that so my training needed to be better. Did I know how far I would take that? Where now my life is all about performance and like doing all this crazy stuff? No, but I'm happy I found it that way.
Right.
Um, yeah, like the difference between just looking good in the gym and being good on the fire ground, it's crazy. But anyway, um, now like I try to make it like where I do some sort of training on my shift, no matter what. I don't like to train during my shifts. I always train before, but now I brought like sleds, wall balls, all those different easy functional things like sandbags to the gym. I mean to the gym at the firehouse. And I just ask guys if they want to do some PT, you put some guys in some situations where it's like, yo, I'm gonna go do it. We're gonna sweat a little bit or suffer a little bit, and then we'll go enjoy dinner together. Whatever. You just kind of like push them that way, and then I always offer to like, yo, you need help with dieting, I'll write something up for the guys, like nutrition, workouts, whatever. If you want to improve, I'll help you do it. It's tough, because sometimes you want to be a little bit pushy with it. But I also know there's tons of things that guys at the firehouse are better than me at, like where's our nearest water sources, like different like building construction things. So I try to absorb what they say, and then there'll be more. It's easier to be reciprocated.
Right. Yeah, it's building that trust. It's building that trust and building the relationship of, I like the person, right? If they
Yeah.
don't like you, you're coming in super physically fit. Guys, take this from me. This has been my experience and it doesn't get you anywhere. Now
Yeah.
you're just a fit asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, that's not helping anybody. Versus like coming in, understanding that, we all have areas to work on, that they bring something to the table that you don't, that they know something that you don't, right? And then, like China Jack said, trying to make it open to where like they're more prone to do it versus mandatory, like, hey, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the individuals that aren't comfortable with PT aren't comfortable with their level of fitness. They're not comfortable with their confidence, right? So it's one of those things. It's like taking your shirt off at the beach. Like it's a big deal, right? For them to
Yeah.
expose themselves to be the person that they're not, right? Because that's the only way you're going to see it. We don't run fires all the time, so
Yeah.
most of the time, firefighters kind of live behind the badge of like I can do it, and in reality, like they're not the most physically fit people that can do it.
That's
Not that they don't have work, you know.
the grind it, like I'll grind it out mindset is dangerous, in everything you do, like whether you didn't train enough for a race or like it's okay, race day, I'll be able to put it together or something like that. A lot of people have that mindset when it comes to firefighting. I mean, I know I should do more workouts with my pack and gear on, but it's tough to like get that going on your day you're working because now your gear is all sweaty. You got to put it on when you actually have to go to a fire and stuff like that. But
Right.
again, something I got to do more of too. Um, I always keep my weighted vest there, so at least I'll do that. Again, there's something we can all improve on, and first thing you got to do is recognize these things, these weaknesses, these deficiencies, or where you're lacking, and then make those changes.
Yeah, and anybody out there, I really recommend you do some type of assessment, right? And that's a workout for the guys. Hey guys, like let's just see where we're at, and create some type of assessment that is not super intimidating and that is gonna assess the three areas, right? Strength, stamina, and then endurance. Like that's the three things we as firefighters. So, obviously body stuff is a really good test to see where you are, and then some type of cardio machine to assess where your cardio's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's scary, man. Putting yourself in a position where like I'll text you. I'll be like, Jack, knock this assessment out. Let me see where you're at, right? And then I'll knock it out. And then like whoever does better is irrelevant. Like what I'm gonna do, and I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna be like, man, I could have done better here, or man, I didn't know I was so shitty in this area. And then now, like you said, like we're aware, we work on it. I did a workout
Great.
with a buddy of mine yesterday, and he doesn't do many tire flips.
Mhm.
So it's a simple workout. It's 100 tire flips, for time, full gear on air, right? Not hard. It's just a simple tire flip, and it's a lot of tire flips. So
Yeah.
you don't know if you're not good at something until you go out and do it. But now him knowing that he can put that into his training because in somewhere on the fire ground or in life, tire flips are applicable, whether it's grip strength, whether it's legs, whatever it is, or whether if it's just doing a movement that requires a lot of power.
Think about
Like
how many times you were in some room and there was a bed frame that was on fire or a cabinet that fell over. You're gonna have to move that shit at some point. Like that's a tire flip right there.
100%, yeah, 100%. Or you got to pick up a victim. Like you got to get down, and you got to pick up a victim. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or a brother. So guys, like Jack said, find out what you're bad at, and then just work at it. Right? Nobody's perfect. Everybody has their flaws. Everybody has their things that they could be better at. Jack, man, let me ask you what would you tell the guys that are kind of starting on their fitness journey from what you've learned with everything you've done?
Yeah, man. I mean, I would say obviously number one, structure is very important, but you gotta have fun with it. Like if you don't enjoy the process, like yeah, workouts are hard, and some people just don't like working out. But if you're on the job, or if you just want to get in, you need to get in shape. We'll say, like you have to make it manageable, and you have to find a structure that allows you to keep doing these things and progress. So, though that's my two things: structure, but fun. Like whether you like short interval training, long steady state, like zone 2 work, heavy weights. Create a plan, stick to it, and then have fun with it. A lot of people fall into these ruts where they're like, "Oh, I didn't do something. I didn't do my workout I was supposed to do on Monday. Now the whole week's chalked. Just get back on the horse, and we'll keep moving. You know, we're gonna have bad shifts. We're gonna have days where we don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah.
You gotta get done at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. whenever you get done, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go sleep for the rest of the day. And you know what? That happens. It's okay. But that next day, like, let's get back to it. Get on our programming or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. One thing I always say is ego is the enemy of progression. So if you have an ego about something, like we were just saying, somebody's more fit than you or somebody knows more than you about everything. I will always listen to somebody. It doesn't matter what it's about. Give them the benefit of the doubt and see things from a different point of view. And not having that ego will allow me to make way more progress than if I did. Yeah, I mean, those are my main things, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we said earlier, it's okay if it's messy, guys. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need an hour to work out. You don't need a gym.
Yeah.
You need to understand that fitness is very broad, and there's always something you could do on a daily, consistent basis to improve your fitness, right? So once you like eliminate the excuses, all you need to do is find one reason to work out, because you'll have 1,000 reasons not to.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
just need one. You need one reason. So, Jack, man, thank you so much for coming on the episode. I really appreciate you, guys. Hit the follow button. I'm gonna put his tag in the description. This guy's gonna motivate you. He's gonna inspire you. He inspires me. Like I said, he's extraordinary. I don't give that title to many people. But the things that you've done, man, and the person that you are, and that you show us, it's amazing, bro. So keep that stuff up.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
And thank you so much, man. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Jack, you know where to like, support, share the podcast. You know, we'll have a next one coming to you shortly.
All right.